The good news is we're already at phase 1. This is because BC did not completely shut down. Many jurisdictions are only now returning to the place that BC has been at for some time. We already have safe operation for essential services to allow people to get basic supplies. We already have been putting more resources into hospitals and residential care. We already have childcare centers open for essential workers. We already have K-12 learning in classrooms for the children of parents of frontline workers. We already have safe operations for construction, manufacturing, agriculture, silviculture, and many, many more businesses. In the weeks ahead, BC will move into phase 2 of the Restart Plan. In this next phase, we must continue to maintain a very high standard of personal conduct. We're asking people to use common sense and follow these 5 principles as we implement the Restart Plan. We're going to be focusing on personal hygiene. We're going to be staying at home if we're sick. We're going to focus on environmental hygiene, safe social interactions, and physical modifications. We expect British Columbians to practice these every day. We expect people to make informed choices about how to safely interact with each other. As we start to relax some of the social restrictions, small social gatherings with physical distancing will be allowed. The choices you make about expanding your social circle will depend on your age, your occupation, and the health of the people that you live with. Here's what it could look like. Grandchildren visiting grandparents with safe social distancing. Play dates with kids, again, with safe social distancing. Small numbers of friends gathering outdoors or in home, again, small numbers. The key is only small gatherings. And we still need to be mindful when we're interacting with each other, especially with vulnerable people, that we keep our social circles tight. We're asking everyone to follow these principles and to use your common sense. Restrictions on large gatherings are here to stay. Groups larger than 50 give the virus an opportunity to reemerge, and no matter how far apart you are, large gatherings will not be allowed. Also at phase 2, we'll be reintroducing elective surgeries. Minister Dix and I will be talking about that in more detail tomorrow, but this is the beginning of getting back to a place where our healthcare system can provide the important services that we all need and depend on. We're also going to be returning to regulated health services like physiotherapy, dentistry, chiropractors, and in-person counseling. I'm happy to say that we will also be reopening provincial parks for day use. Gatherings outside is a good thing. Physical well-being, mental well-being, all are added to when we get outside and enjoy the splendor of British Columbia. But we must do so in a safe manner. We can't congregate in large groups. When you visit a provincial park, do so mindful of the people around you and observe physical distancing. Dr. Henry's been clear that this physical distancing outside will reduce the likelihood of transmission of the virus. In fact, the likelihood is very low, provided you follow these basic guidelines. So some BC parks will be open in time for the Victoria Day long weekend. Let's enjoy that, but let's stay close to home. This is not the time for a road trip to another community for a hike or a holiday. If you have a provincial park in your area, by all means, visit it. Do not travel great distances. We need to stay close to home. That's a key part of our recovery. The safe operation of retail businesses and offices is the other part of the second phase. Sectors that we have ordered closed need to work with WorkSafe BC to develop plans for safe reopening. Those would include hair salons, restaurants, and pubs. Any business restarting their operations must ensure that they are in compliance with public health officers' orders and in line with the safety guidelines produced by WorkSafe BC. We'll support businesses as they take steps towards successful reopening. WorkSafe BC is developing industry-specific guidance to help employers bring workers and customers back safely. I want to acknowledge the organizations that are already well into the planning stages, like the BC Restaurant Association, who is working on a sector-wide plan for the safe reopening of that industry, and the BC Recreation and Parks Association, who are working to bring back their programs. Many retailers have already found ways to reopen with no-touch payment and plexiglass barriers. These plans take time, and we need to get them right so that workers and consumers can feel safe. Everybody has to be confident as we move into the new normal. We can't just say businesses are open, let's come and spend. Consumers need to be confident that the businesses that they're patronizing have done the hard work to be safe for their workers and their customers. We'll also be expanding access to childcare and in-class learning for K-12 students. We understand that parents have questions about the safety of their children as they return to school, and it's okay for parents to be concerned. But I want to reassure you that many schools are already operating safely with in-class learning for the kids of essential workers. And we're not going to be forcing anyone to come back, but Minister Fleming and I will be working to make sure students whose families need to have kids in class will have that opportunity. And we will continue to prepare for the full resumption of classes in September. For those that are graduating in 2020 and will not be having a ceremony, I regret that very much. I hope that there will be ways that we can mark this milestone in the days ahead, and maybe next year we can have that party that you deserve after completing your grade 12 education. As we open up, we're going to be depending on our public transit system, which has seen a ridership decline in the neighborhood of 80 to 85%. We've been doing what we can to improve hygiene and physical distancing on buses and SkyTrain, and we'll have more to say about that in the days ahead. Finally, we'll be recalling the legislature in the next number of weeks because elected members should be here to do what they can to collaborate on positive outcomes for the people of British Columbia. I want to acknowledge the nonpartisan approach that all members of the legislature have taken to this point in time. In the weeks ahead, Government House Leader Mike Farnworth will be discussing plans for debates about the plans we have to go forward and the ideas the opposition wants to bring to bear so the people of British Columbia can have confidence that our democracy continues to thrive and flourish in these difficult times. Proceeding to the next step will depend on the outcomes and the path of COVID-19. Over the next months, we will continue to expand the number of businesses and services that can operate with strict safety protocols. If we're doing well and we see more opportunities, we'll be opening up more businesses, like more parks with camping. Film and television production is very close. Movie theaters, personal services like spas and hotels. Phase 4 won't be enacted until there's a vaccine, treatments for COVID-19, or community immunity has been achieved. And until these things happen, BC will not be hosting rock concerts and conventions or any other large gatherings beyond 50 people. The success of these plans depend on a number of factors. To succeed, we're going to need large-scale testing, rapid identification, and contact tracing. We're going to need 100% commitment to physical distancing, hand washing, and following the orders and guidance of Dr. Henry and BC health officials. We're going to need to hold the line on borders, including mandatory quarantine for returning travelers and a time limit on a limit, of course, on non-essential travel. We're going to need to build up our healthcare system and work to make sure that we are resilient in the event of a further outbreak. And we're going to need to maintain zero tolerance for illness in the workplace. If you're sick, you must stay home. Most important to our success, we need to come together as a community and as a province. Businesses cannot succeed unless we decide to support them. The only way they will survive is if people have confidence when they walk through their doors that they will be well and that business will be well at the same time. Every part of our province must be included. We have to make sure everyone is supported and that we move through this pandemic to the restart and the recovery. When I heard about people of Asian descent being pushed to the ground and buildings being defaced with anti-Chinese slogans, I was angry. Hate has no place in British Columbia, period. We need to stand together, united against that type of racism whenever we see it. COVID-19 does not discriminate. British Columbians shouldn't discriminate either. If we're going to get through this, we have to stop finger pointing, put our differences aside, and work together to get it done. Our province was already in a public health emergency before the spread of COVID-19. Opioid deaths continue to climb in many parts of the province. We must work to bring these deaths down as well. Climate change continues to be the challenge of our time. The wildfire season is starting and the flood season has not yet ended. And as we meet all of these challenges, we must recommit to putting Clean BC, our climate action plan, at the center of our recovery. Today, we take our first steps. There's much more to do, but the hard work starts with every step. We will do it by continuing to support rural and remote communities. We will do it by developing partnerships with Indigenous peoples and working towards reconciliation. And we will do it by making sure we deliver the support and resources our healthcare workers need. Times are tough, but they will get better. We're going to get through this, and we're going to come back even stronger. Together, we can build back BC better than ever.